Hello, anyone, everyone, and no one. My name is SlackLizard, and welcome back to another episode of Farm of the Week. And this week on Farm of the Week, we're going to be going into a nether-based gold farm. Now, this farm is quite unique. We already have a gold farm on our channel, but this one, unlike the other one, does not rely on a split density. And oddly enough, this thing can produce around 105 gold blocks per hour after crafting. That is an insane amount of gold for the size of this farm and for it to be using absolutely no portals whatsoever. That being that, this farm is a little bit on the quirky side to build, but not an impossible build. But one thing to note is that you do need to build this farm inside of a nether waste biome. And as per all farms on Bedrock Edition, you need to make yourself a proper perimeter. That means on a Sim 4 world, which most people out there play, you need to have a spawn sphere around your AFK blocks of at least 44 blocks away cleared. Ideally, you would want that to be further out, so while you're building the farm, you're not running into any complications, aka gas spawning and trying to blast your face. That being that, I would also recommend that while you're building this farm, you get yourself some Frost Walker boots. They will be very useful when walking on all the magma that is needed for this farm. That being that, let's get a materials list and let's get into the build, shall we? So now that we have all of our materials and our perimeter established, we are good to go. So we are going to be starting by getting ourselves a 2x2 platform. And from here, we are going to go up 17 blocks. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And once we get up here, we're going to build another 2x2 platform. Now, of course, all of this that we use to pillar up, we no longer need there. This area up here is going to be for our Trident Killers that we are going to build later on, but we're going to go ahead and get this in now. So from this 2x2 platform, we need to build a 38 by 38 square. Now, you want to keep this thing unspawnable, so I would recommend you do this with glass. Is there other unspawnable blocks? Yes, this is just how we're going to do it, and this is what I recommend you to use. So starting at our 2x2 up here for where our Trident Killers are going to be, we're going to go out a total of 19 blocks in all directions. Now, that is including the corner blocks here. So this right here represents block number 1. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Once again, we're going to come back over here and we're going to do the same thing going in this direction. So you got this one counts as number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So now at this point, we want to do that on all the areas around here until we get a 38 by 38 grid. Now that that layer is done, it's time to move on to our next layer. And we're going to grab our magma blocks now, and we are going to go up 7 blocks. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We'll punch out all these blocks that we have down here that we use to pillar up. And now we are going to do the same thing that we have done down here, except we are going to do this with magma. So now we need to build a 38 by 38 square using magmas. One thing I would recommend though is to bring up your center 2x2 grid here, so that you always know where the center of your farm is going to be. So we can just bring that up like so, and we can line this. And then of course, once we get all this in place, it's a simple rinse and repeat. So now we need a 38 by 38 square of magma. And now once you've got that part in, we're going to move on to our next part. Now, one key thing that I want to stress before we get to this is that this farm is a repeating farm. So all levels are going to replicate themselves one on top of the other. So if you build 5 layers to this farm, you're eventually going to build 5 identical layers. That being said, all corners of this farm are the same except they're mirror images of each other. So I've laid out a few blocks here to try to give a little bit of an example of what you need to do next. Now that we've got our 38 by 38 square of magma in here, we need to actually remove some blocks out of this build because they just don't need to be here and they're going to interfere with the farm. So coming out, following our center line here, I've added in just some regular clear glass just to give you a demonstration of how far out we're going to go. And every block that is a piece of white glass at this moment, we need to punch out of this farm. So over here on the end here, we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 5 right here. And we need to remove all of these magma blocks underneath of this. And then stepping in from there, we need to remove these 3 as well. So that one, and that one need to be removed. Now, of course, as I said, this is a mirror image of each other. So if you were to go over here to the other side of the farm, you're going to do exactly the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course, the block is missing here. So that's number 1. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we punch out that, and that. So we get this nice circular pattern going all the way around the edge. So you're going to do that on all of the corners. So we're going to come over here to this corner as well. And we're going to punch out these 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And of course, we're going to come around here onto this side. The same thing. But of course, that block's already missing. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we punch out these 3 right here. And of course, one more time, just for understanding purposes, we're going to knock out these 5 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This block is already missing, so that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to get that corner, that one, and that one. And that punches out all of the blocks that we need to remove like so. Those are not the only blocks that need to be removed from this farm, as you can see, because I said anything with white glass needs to be removed as well. So coming out from our center, we also need to remove all blocks that are covered in white glass here. So coming out from our dead center, it's pretty much the same thing. Starting here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then of course on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Of course, moving in from there, we're going to punch out the next blocks, which is only 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And of course, we're going to do the same thing up through here. I'm going to remove the glass just to make it easier for me. So we'll remove that one, that one, that one, and that. And then we're going to remove those as well. And of course, once we remove the glass from here, and once that's all done, you should end up with something that looks like so. All the outside corners have been knocked out, and of course, our insides as well. So we kind of got this kind of clover look here, I guess is the best way to explain it. All right, so from here, we're going to move on to our next step. And now we're going to start putting in our drop chutes leading to our Trident Killers, which we will build after the fact here. Right now, we're just getting the drop chutes in. So starting from our 2x2 grid here, we need to go out 9 blocks in a diagonal. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, of course, our 9th block, we're going to go ahead and punch that out, and we're going to put an unspawnable block there. We're going to be using glass. Now, from here, we don't need these extra blocks that we use to get out there, so we can go ahead and remove those. So coming back over here, we're going to go ahead and place our turtle egg right there, and we're going to punch out these 2 blocks moving towards the center of the farm right here. Always going towards the center of the farm. You want to do the center of the farm that way, you can, or if you want to do it that way, you can. Just keep the layout identical on every level from here on out. So once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and put in a piece of glass right there. We're going to grab our trapdoor, and we're going to place it right there, and we're going to open that thing up. From here, we're going to go ahead and grab our door. We're going to place our door right here on this block. We are going to grab some glass blocks, and we're going to put a glass block there, 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 and there. And we're going to grab some fence, and we're going to put fence all the way around this turtle egg right here. And we're also going to put fences right there. And that is that. Now we need to do that on every corner of this farm. So we'll simply come back over here to the middle. We'll go ahead and count out this way one more time. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We're going to go ahead and punch that one out. We're going to put our glass block in there, and we're going to go ahead and remove all of these. Now, by pointing towards the center of the farm, I mean pointing towards the same side as the other one. So we're going to go ahead and punch out these 2. We're going to place that right there. We're going to go ahead and get our turtle egg in right there. We're going to grab our trap door, place it right there. Open it up, Go ahead and grab our door and place that right there. Get our glass, 1, 2, 1, 2. Grab our fence, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and like that, and like that. So any pigmen that spawn in this area are going to aggro to that egg, come over here, fall down this hole, and end up inside of our Trident Killer. So now at this point, as you can see here, these are identical. One on that side, facing the same way. So now we need to do the same thing over here, except these are going to face each other. They're not going to face each other this way, but that way. So all these temporary blocks, if you put those in, which you probably needed to put those in for building this, you can now remove those. And now you should end up with something that looks just about like this. Now, this layer is almost complete. We just need to do a couple more things to finish this layer. Right here, this center 2x2, where we have 4 open spots here, we need to go ahead and punch out those 2 there, and we need to replace those with magma. Punch out these 2 right here, and replace those with trapdoors, like so. I know it's a little bit odd, but it's how the farm needs to be. So at this point, if we were to come over here and take a look from this angle, we now have 1 layer of this farm in, and now that you have 1, it's time to repeat this pattern 6 more times right over top of this. And you should eventually end up with something that looks just like so. So as you can see, we have 7 identical layers, and of course all the drop chutes lead down to the same place and everything is good to go. The only thing that we need to do from this point here is we need to put a roof on this thing that's going to make it unspawnable. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to come back over here to where our corner would have been. We're going to go up a total of 3 blocks here, and we are going to build a 38 by 38 spawn-proofed roof. Now, of course, we're going to spawn-proof this with glass because it's just the easiest way for us to do it. And once you get that in, this farm is pretty much set to go, aside from a storage and collection and Trident Killers. Speaking of which, why don't we get to a Trident Killer? So now we're going to start moving into how to set up our Trident Killers. And I won't lie to you, I've already built this twice, trying to think of the best way to explain this to you because it's a little bit different than a typical Trident Killer you're going to be used to. So starting at our drop chute here, we're going to come down 3 blocks underneath of it like so. We're going to go ahead and punch out those temporary blocks here, and we are going to make our classic 2x2 grid with our corner right here being directly in line with our drop chute. So from here, we're going to go out like we usually do on Trident Killers, north, south, east, and west, and we're going to add in a couple extra blocks. This is going to be where we place in our pistons and everything. So from here, we're going to place our first piston in directly underneath the glass right by our drop chute here. We're going to go ahead and spin around here to the back side, and we're going to go ahead and put that piston in now as well. And we're going to go ahead and put our dispenser in here. Now, the dispenser is going to be here for the purposes of getting rid of XP in this farm. So we're going to go ahead and get that in place now. So from here, we're going to go ahead and grab another piston and place that right there. And we're going to grab another one and place that right there. At this point, it looks like your typical run-of-the-mill Trident Killer, with the exception of adding in a dispenser. So from here, we're going to go ahead and grab our glass, and we're going to go ahead and fill in all areas on the outside of this Trident Killer until we get it looking just about like so. From here, let's go ahead and grab our powered rails. We're going to put a powered rail in every one of the corners here because it's just going to speed up our Trident Killer. And now we're going to grab our observer, and we're going to put an observer watching into this rail right here that's going to power into this dispenser. From this dispenser, it's going to power that rail, so we're going to have an observer watching that, which is going to power into this block, which will power that piston and the rail. I think you're starting to see a repeating pattern here, and we're going to go ahead and put another one right there, another one right there, one more right here, and of course 1 additional block right there. And now our Trident Killer mechanics are all now in place. So now if we were to grab our lever and place our lever right here and turn it on and off, we now have the workings of a Trident Killer in place. Now from here, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't get no Trident. I didn't put that in there. Well, that's relatively easy. You can simply come right here and knock out these 2 glass blocks right here, and we can search for a Trident, and you can come in and replace this thing at any time that you need to. Just throw it up against that, cover all that back up right there, and look, you are good to go, just like that. So from here, we need to go ahead and collect up our items, because at this point we are not collecting our items from this farm. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick block this hopper here because I need this. So at this point, we need to come down 2 blocks underneath like so. And we got our first hopper going out like this. Now I'm going to add in a temporary block right here just so I can get some hoppers headed over in that direction like so. And we're going to make a 2 by 2. And this is going to be directly underneath of the floor of our Trident Killer. So if that were to all extend down, you can see this all lines up perfectly. So from here, we're going to go ahead and grab our powered rails. We're going to place in 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to grab in some blocks, place those like so that now our rails and everything are enclosed, and we're going to grab our minecart hoppers and place them in. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, as I said earlier, we're going to be using lava in that dispenser up there to burn off the experience. Also, as a side effect, it does catch items on fire. Now, we need to have an additional hopper minecart underneath the one that has the dispenser. So this is a lot easier than it sounds. So the one that is directly underneath the dispenser right here in this corner, we're going to go ahead and knock out that rail right there. We're going to come up here. We're going to knock out these 2 blocks here, and we're going to place in 2 blocks. We're going to put one against that hopper there. We're going to put one right there. We're going to come over and we're going to create a pattern that looks just like so. From here, we're going to go ahead and grab a normal rail. We're going to put one there and one there. We're going to grab our minecart with a hopper and push that into that block. After it is in there, you can go ahead and knock out all these temporary blocks you just put in. And now you should see that you have 2 hopper minecarts on top of each other. Now, the reason we knocked out that rail there is because sometimes the game likes to push that trident into the floor just a little bit, and we do not want to destroy that hopper minecart. That's why we knocked out the rail on this one slot and not on the others. So from here, let's button up the farm, or button up the Trident Killer. Make sure we've got no holes in here for babies to escape from. And at this point, this one is good to go. So now we come around here on the side, fill all that in, and look at that. Boom, bam, this thing is good to go. So now if we were to activate that, we now have a working Trident Killer that will kill off any mobs that come into the farm. So we're going to go ahead and shut that back off. We're going to open up this dispenser here. We're going to put in this lava bucket, and we're going to turn this back on. So as you can see, lava is going to be constantly dispensed in there. It's going to kill off the experience. It will not kill off the trident, and all of the items will get picked up by the hopper minecarts, delivered down into the hoppers and into your collection system. So now that you've got that, you need to do that on the outer ones. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once you get all those in, we'll move to the centralized one. Now, for our center Trident Killer here, it's going to be pretty much the same with a minor change here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to come down here, our 3 blocks underneath of this, and we're going to go ahead and get in our 2x2 grid directly over these 2 slots right here. So these 2 spots in the drop chute are now the side of our Trident Killer. So we're going to go ahead and place in all of our blocks, north, south, east, and west, that we do for our Trident Killers, and we're going to go ahead and place in our first piston. Okay, now I need to stress this clearly, and I can't stress this enough. Where you place these blocks is going to depend on where your AFK spot in this farm is. So that being said, if we place our pistons just like so, and we put our dispenser, where's our dispenser, on this corner right here, our lava in the opposite corner, we now have to, there's no way around it, we have to, if I were to grab anything down here, let me grab just this iron block. This spot is now our AFK spot. You need to stand on this block when you're AFKing now, because of how the aggro system works in the game. Don't ask me to explain it. I'm just giving you the farm and how it works. I don't think T-Man understands it. I don't even think I understand it. I don't even think the people who write the code in this game even understand it at this point in time. I'm telling you this. These 2 slots right here that are directly above your 2x2, when you place the dispenser right there where the lava is going to be, you now have to AFK in the opposite corner right here. So once you've got that in place, it's as simple as all of our other Trident Killers. It's a rinse and repeat. So we're going to go ahead and grab our glass. We're going to go ahead and put glass all the way around here. We're going to grab our powered rails, and we're going to put a powered rail inside of each corner block here. From there, we're going to grab our observer, and we're going to put our observer looking into that rail, powering into that dispenser, which is in turn going to power this rail right here. So now we're going to put an observer watching that rail into a solid block, which will power that piston and this rail. And of course, in return, we're going to put an observer right here to see all of that mess again. Solid block. We're going to continue to rinse and repeat this pattern all the way over until we get to this point right here. So from here, we need to grab our lever, and we can go ahead and grab our trident. So if we were to put a lever right here, go ahead and punch out these blocks right here and get our trident and throw it into place. This is now more or less a functioning Trident Killer, as you can see. So we're going to go ahead and shut this thing off. We're going to go ahead and get our collection in like all the ones above. And it's pretty much going to be the same thing. We're going to add in a temporary block right here that's going to connect up to our centralized collection system in a bit. And we're going to add in 2 hoppers. Now, of course, our 2x2 grid. Boom, 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 like so. And if we were to grab some temporary blocks just to see it all lines up perfectly. From here, we're going to go ahead and put our powered rails all the way across those hoppers once again. We're going to grab some glass, place that like so, and now we're ready for our hopper minecarts. So if we grab our 4 hopper minecarts, 1, 2, 3, and number 4, it is all in place. Now, of course, the same thing happens with this one as it did all others. The one that has your dispenser dispensing the lava needs an additional hopper minecart on top of this one here. So we're going to come over here. We're going to target just the rail only. Come on, give me the hitbox. There we go. We've knocked that out. We're going to go ahead and remove these blocks right here. We're going to grab some temporary blocks, and we're going to put a block there, one out here like this, and one more going up like so. From here, we're going to go ahead and grab a couple of rails, one, so that we have a nice ramp leading to that hopper minecart. We're going to grab our hopper minecart. We're going to place that there and push it directly into place. Once you have the hopper minecart on top of the other one, you can go ahead and knock out these blocks right here and fill in all the surrounding areas around this. Make sure that we batten up all the hatches, we fill in all the holes so that there's not going to be any escaping babies from this farm. And once we have all of that done and we have our Trident Killers in place on all of our farms, make sure that we get our lava in all of our dispensers. So make sure that you get that one in. And now at this point, with our 5 Trident Killers in place, as you can see here, the farm is already producing. We've got the AFK account down there in the AFK spot doing what AFK accounts do. And as you can see here, it's pretty much just non-stop pigmen spawning. They spawn, they aggro over to the eggs, or they aggro to the player in the middle and fall down the middle and end up inside of the Trident Killers. So we now have 5 of these in and 5 of these running. But what we need to deal with now is the items, because this thing is going to output a lot of items and we're going to need to deal with them. Now, we've got 5 Trident Killers and we're going to run all of these into one centralized chest here. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a line of hoppers out of this all the way back up here to our centralized Trident Killer in the middle. So at this point, this line of hoppers is feeding into that chest. Now we're going to break out this temporary block here and we're going to go ahead and run this line of hoppers into that as well. We are going to end up feeding all 5 of these into this singular double chest. And if you're curious where this singular double chest is located here, if we were to go right to the edge of our platform here, you can see this is where I'm placing it here. Now, that being that, you can do storage however you want to, but I can't stress enough that you need to smelt down the swords of this farm. The swords are going to make up a good 20 to 30% of the drops you have from this farm. So if you want the rates that are posted on this thumbnail, you need to do that. If you do not, you are not going to get these rates. So that being that, we've got these 3 now feeding into this double chest here. So if we were to simply run some additional hoppers out this way and connect all of this up to the same system, what we're trying to do is split the system. we're taking the farms on the side over here and we're putting into one side of that chest. We're taking the farms on the side over here and putting into that side of the chest. Now, I know at this point that's all going into the same chest, but we're going to split the system off here in just a moment. So we're going to continue to run hoppers all the way back here to the very end. And then we're going to bring these all the way over here and we're going to tie all these drops into that system. So now all 5 Trident Killers are going to this same double chest. And as you can see, it's going to fill up relatively quick. And as I said, there's going to be a lot of swords from this. So from here, we need to build ourselves a platform in order to do storage and smelting of everything coming from that farm. So let's get ourselves a platform down here to work with so that we can get all that in. So we've built ourselves a platform in down here, as you can see, and it's about 18 blocks that way, 18 blocks that way, 9-10 blocks deep. It's whatever works for you. And of course, coming from this double chest here, we've pulled 2 hopper lines down. Now, the reason we pulled 2 hopper lines down is because this farm, it's too much for one sorter alone to handle. We're going to need multiple sorters to deal with this. So we're going to do a row of chests on this side of the farm, and we're going to do a row of chests on this side. We're going to have item filters on both sides of the farm. This line of hoppers is going to be dealt with on that side. This line is going to be dealt with on that side. So we're going to build up one side over here, and you'll just mirror the other side over there. What do you know? More things that mirror. So starting off from our chest that we already placed here just a moment ago, we're going to go ahead and pillar up here, I don't know, 4 high on the chest. What we're going to do at this point is put in a basic item filter. Now, the item filter that I like to use is one designed by the Mad Hatter. And if you haven't checked out his channel, you definitely should, because there's a lot of good technical stuff on his channel as well. But now we've got our stack of chests in here where we're going to filter out our items, and we're going to place in hoppers going into the back of all of these chests. So from here, once we've got hoppers in the back of all of those, we're going to place hoppers going into those right there. And we're going to grab in some temporary blocks, and we're going to put 3 temporary blocks across here. Now, of course, this can be as big as you want. If you want to make 7 chests for gold nuggets or rotten flesh or whatever, make as many as you want. I'm just showing you how it works here real quick. So we've got in our hoppers going into all of our chests. We've got our temporary blocks in place here, and now we're going to grab hoppers and place those all into there like so. These are going to be our filter hoppers. From here, we're going to go ahead and grab a solid block. We're going to put solid blocks going on the back of all of those like that, and we're going to grab some glass blocks, and we're going to place glass blocks behind this just like so. From here, we're going to grab comparators, and we're going to cut comparators all the way across there. We're going to go ahead and grab some solid blocks. We're going to put a solid block there, there, and there. We're going to come down underneath of all this, and we're going to come down 2 blocks underneath of this like so. And of course, we're going to put solid blocks on either side of this like so, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and pull this out the length of our sorter here. Right now, we're just filtering 3 different items. So this is as big as we need this at this moment in time. We're going to grab some redstone torches. We're going to put a redstone torch there, there, and there. From here, we're going to grab some redstone dust. We're going to put dust, 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 dust. So at this point, if we were to put 4 blocks here, ideally you would pick some random block that will never end up in your farm, and you would put it in the anvil and name it. We'll put 4 random blocks there. We'll also put 4 random blocks here, and we'll put 4 random blocks over here. Now, these need to be things that will never end up inside of your farm. So from here, if we wanted to filter out, say, rotten flesh, if I can type the right thing here, we can put rotten flesh in here. And when there is rotten flesh here, it will send out the signal, it will shut off the torch, and let items pass through. Now, once this reaches down to the point of 41 items, it's going to stop. So it cannot let no other items out. But if we take a look down here, we now have rotten flesh in this chest. So at this point, knowing how to do that, we can make as many rotten flesh filters we wanted. But we're going to leave this to 1 at this moment in time. And then from here, we're going to start filtering off our gold. So we know that this farm is going to produce a lot of golden nuggets. So we're going to type the right thing into our bar up here, and we are going to grab our golden nuggets. Let's grab a few stacks of those like so. So we're going to put golden nuggets in right there. We're going to put golden nuggets in right there. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to expand upon this farm just a little bit, or upon this sorter a little bit. Give me just one moment. And just like that, we have this all expanded out. Now we've got quite a bit more storage here, quite a bit more. So at this point, we got rotten flesh going in there. We've got golden nuggets going in there. We've got golden nuggets going in there. And we've got golden nuggets going in there. I would also recommend that you at least make 2 modules for each type of item that you want to save, because hopper speed on Bedrock, sometimes it likes to skip something. So we're going to put gold ingots right there, and we're going to put gold ingots right there. And as an additional overflow, if there's anything else you wanted to save from this, say you wanted to do more golden nuggets just to make sure that you weren't missing any, you could put in a couple more filters after that, or you could save yourself more rotten flesh or whatever. The point being is that all stackable items are now being filtered out and saved in this farm. And the way that we are going to deal with the swords is going to be with another item filter and some blast furnaces. So from here, from our normal chest, we've came out an additional chest right here 1 block away. What we're going to do now is we're going to grab a couple hoppers, and we're going to put a couple hoppers in like so. We're going to grab our blast furnaces, because blast furnaces work extremely well at smelting down armor related stuff, aka swords and stuff like that. We're going to put a couple of blast furnaces in right there, and we're going to grab a hopper and put right there, a hopper and put right there, 1 there and 1 there. From here, we're going to put a chest here and here. This is going to be for our fuel. We're going to use kelp for the purposes of this tutorial, and we're going to put our kelp in like so. From here, on top of these hoppers here, we're going to put a double chest in like so. So now we've got all of our item filters right here. And of course, we've got a smelter set up right here. But at this point, we have no items going into this smelter, and we're about to deal with that. So we're going to go ahead and run our hoppers back right here until we get even with our item filter hopper lines. Now, non-stackable items filter out a little bit different than normal stacked items. We're still going to be running through the same exact type of system, but we're going to be doing it a little bit different. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab some temporary blocks, and we're going to come over here about 3 or 4 blocks past the end of our hoppers right here. Now we're going to go ahead and place down a dropper right in line with all of this, because this is going to be our overflow, our pressure relief valve for when there's too many items into the system. Say you AFK'd this thing for 24 hours and you filled up all the chests and everything else. You don't need thousands upon thousands of entities sitting up there trying to despawn. Actually, as a matter of fact, they shouldn't, because of the lava, but then again, you don't need thousands upon thousands of items trying to push through hoppers, because all the hoppers are full. We need a pressure relief valve. So we're putting in a garbage can. I love garbage cans. I think they're one of the best things in Minecraft. You get too many items that you just don't need. Well, this will take care of them for you. So now that we have our dropper in place, we have our furnace in place, let's connect all of this up. So we're going to go ahead and from our dropper here, we're going to pull a line of hoppers all the way back over here to the point where we came down. Now we're not going to connect this up yet because we don't have the rest of our circuits in. But from here, let's go over here first and let's get our garbage can in place. So we're going to come out 4 blocks behind this thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a comparator taking a signal strength from this. So when an item comes into this, it powers the comparator. Now it's only sending out a redstone signal strength of 1. We want it to be a higher strength, so we're going to put a repeater into that so it puts it out at max power, and we're going to put another comparator right there. From here, we're going to go ahead and feed some blocks all the way back along this side here, and we're going to also right-click this comparator here so that that little light comes on. That means it's in subtract mode, so it takes the signal strength here, walks it back around, and subtracts it, because every time redstone goes out, it loses a signal strength. So like, say that was 10, that's going to be 9, that's going to be 8, and it's going to be, oh, and it's just going to circuit itself. Okay, redstone, it's magic dust, okay? We'll just call it magic dust. From here, we're going to grab another piece of redstone dust, and we're going to put it right there. We're going to grab a repeater and put it right there. Now, if we put a solid block right here, boop, there goes that chest. So any items now that we end up in there are going to get dispensed out. Now, obviously, we don't want these just laying on the floor, just waiting to despawn. So we're going to make a nice little chamber here, like so. And we're going to find a bucket of lava, and we're going to put that in there. And now anything that ends up in there will be nice and burnificated, just like all that extra kelp. So let's pick all this up, and now let's get our item filter in for our non-stackable items, aka our swords. So this is going to be identical to the previous item filter, except this time you're going to build this up a block higher. So there and there, we're going to place in our solid blocks. From here, we're going to grab glass, and we're going to put the glass right there and there. From here, we're going to grab our solid blocks, put those up just like so. We're going to grab our comparators, comparator going into that block and that block. So now, whenever a non-stackable item passes through here, it will send out a temporary signal to that, which of course we need to route the redstone down. So let's grab our building blocks. There, 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 and there, and we have all those in place. So if we grab our redstone torches and put redstone torches there, we grab our redstone dust and put the dust where the dust needs to be, there and there, there and there, there and there, we now have a non-stackable item filter. So all of our swords will now end up down here. So at this point, we are pretty much done and dusted. We have items sorting for our rotten flesh, for our golden nuggets, for our golden ingots, for our swords, and we have an overflow burnificator as well. So at this point, if we connect this hopper line up, everything that's in here will now start feeding to the other side. So we can go ahead and break all of this down here, and if we wanted to, and not watch everything fall, we could throw all of this into the system. All of our swords will get burnificated, all of our rotten flesh would get saved, and all of our nuggets would go to their appropriate slots. If we take a look over here, all of our swords are now smelting down. I can't stress enough how important it is to smelt down the swords, because the swords make up a very large chunk of the gold you're going to get from this farm. That being that, we have this side in. Now you need to do the same thing on the other side, and that is this farm done and dusted. And once you get the other side in, you need to make sure to go ahead and spawn proof any solid blocks that you have in this farm. So all these solid blocks that we put in here, I've put glass in over top of those, and as you can see here, the system is now running. You can see the redstone torches going on down there because we have an invisible T-man that looks like an AFK lizard standing there holding a looting 3 sword. Now, of course, he went ahead and threw all of the tridents as well, so he is the one that threw them. He is the one standing there with the looting 3 sword. This farm is very, very interesting indeed, but it is an amazing farm to say the least. It pumps out tons upon tons of gold, and honestly, for the size of it, it's actually quite impressive. But if we take a look down here, you can see we're now gathering up gold, we're gathering up all the rotten flesh, and our swords are being smelted. That was from earlier. As you can see, it's already smelted over a stack of swords, and it's still going, and that's on one side. If we go over here to the other and take a look over here, another 47 as well. As I said, you really need to deal with the swords, because not doing that is just wasting time and energy that you've put into this farm. You might as well take advantage of it. Now, say that these run out of fuel, well, then the swords end up in the lava, and it's not the end of the day. Once you refuel all these blast furnaces back up, it will be good to go. That being that, I think that's where we're going to call this one a farm of the week. I hope you enjoyed it. A nether-based gold farm that is not a split density, that puts out pretty much the same rates as the split density one for Bedrock Edition. That's pretty insane. I enjoy it. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a like down below. If you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. And if you have any ideas for Farm of the Week, make sure to drop them down below in the comment section, and or join the Discord and let us know there. That being that, that's where we're going to call this one a tutorial, and we'll see all of you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.